to the highest frequencies, the gain will fall from the mid band range to the lower gain values. Now, but only in between, only two corner frequencies we have here. One will be FL, the other one will be FH. So only in those the frequencies in between those two corner frequencies, the gain is constant. So that range is called as a mid band. So we call it as a bandwidth or a mid band, which where we maintain a constant gain. And whereas here the effect of these coupling capacitors, so is coupling capacitor as well as the junction capacitance are nullified. Due to that, so we have a constant gain is maintained only at the mid band range. So and we also call this as a bandwidth. We will consider that as a bandwidth. Is it clear, everybody? Is it clear? Is it clear, everybody, or not? Yes? Please respond now. You can chat. Is it clear? Right. So now when I am coming to the lower end frequency, the gain will fall from constant or a mid band gain to the zero gain. So why it is falling is, since that coupling capacitor and your bypass capacitors, so because of these coupling and the bypass capacitor can causes the fall in the gain. Whereas here, so we also have the same we are experiencing the same fall in the gain at the higher end of the frequency, since that the junction capacitance, due to the junction capacitance effect. So the gain will fall at higher end due to the junction capacitance effect, whereas at the lower end the gain will fall due to your coupling capacitor and emitter bypass capacitor effect. Now how these can affect the gain fall, that we are going to learn in the next slide. Now, so it is because the reason for fall in the gain is, at low frequency range the gain will fall due to your coupling capacitors and bypass capacitor, as if our signal frequency increases. So when the signal frequency increases from 0 to upper end, then the reactance of the capacitance is also increasing. So if the signal frequency is decaying from your F1 to FL to your 0, then the reactance become more. So these capacitors behave like a short circuit. When these are behaving like a short circuit, so no longer it can behave like a short circuit, because our reactance is increasing. So when the reactance is increasing, then it is acting like a open circuit. So amount of voltage will drop. So amount of voltage is dropping across here. Capacitance is more, since that output voltage will be less. So hence the gain is reducing. So and at the lower end frequencies, or we could say that when I'm increasing the frequency from 0 to F1, So due to that increase in the frequency, the reactance of the capacitance is reduced. So since that, so when the reactance of the capacitance is reduced, then the gain. So actually we will in this frequency response curve, uh, when I'm moving from lower zero frequency to FL, gain is increasing, or else when I'm moving from up mid band gain to lower end frequency, the gain will fall. So in two ways we can explain it, but the one way is so when I'm moving from mid band to zero, so the frequency of the input signal is decaying. When the frequency of the input is close to zero, then the reactance offered by the capacitance become more. When the capacitance reactance is more, then the drop across that capacitor reactance is more. When it is more, so almost our input is dropping across here reactance of the capacitor. Hence, amount of output voltage which is collected at the collector terminal will be decaying. Hence, our gain is the ratio of your output to input. So output is less whereas the input is more. Hence, here the gain is falling when I am moving from mid-band gain to your 0th frequencies due to your coupling capacitor and emitter bypass capacitor. Right. Next, so this is your basic concept of your frequency response of your CE amplifier. So this is a CE amplifier circuit. So where I used a transistor and operated with a linear region by applying your plus VCC on output junction. So this plus VCC can make your output junction base to collector is reverse bias, and the base to emitter junction is forward bias. So using your voltage divider biasing technique, R1 and R2 can form your a constant amount of base voltage is applied. The DC base voltage is applied to the base of your transistor, which maintain your operating point exactly at the center of the DC load line. So amplification here in your CE amplifier step. And now the small signal what you apply at the input. This is the AC signal we are applying. We are superimposing on a DC operating points. Then we have the amplified output voltages at the collector terminal. Now here C1 and C3 are acting like a coupling capacitors, and C2 is your emitter bypass capacitor. So now this emitter bypass capacitor also used is to make that operating point fixed at a center of the DC load line. We were not connecting your emitter directly to the ground, but with the resistor RE, we connected to the ground. So this amount of voltage drop across this RE can compensate any effect on your temperature effects on the transistor. So using this emitter resistor, we have connected as well as disturb the biasing condition. So not to avoid that, we have provided a capacitor across this resistor RE, which can bypass your DC signals. Right. Now, so frequency response curve at lower end is affected by this coupling capacitor C1, C3 and C2. So since that the gain will fall from the mid band gain to the zero end. So now next we'll move to your upper end. Why it is moving? So your gain again falls. The gain is falling from F2 to 0 at upper end frequency or at a high frequency. So now in order to find this, so we are going to the high frequency response of your CE amplifier. When I'm applying your input signal with a high frequency signal, so then we have a capacitance in between your the two input the two junctions, input and output junction. One will be base to collector junction, capacitance diffusion capacitance is available at the input junction, where the diffusion capacitance, since your emitter base junction is forward bias, and the CBC is the transition capacitance, since your output junction is reverse bias. And due to this capacitance CBE and CBC, so at the high frequency end, so now we know that our reactance offered by the capacitor is XC is equal to 1 by 2 pi FC. So now here, like your coupling capacitor, now my frequency is just quite XC, so hence net reactance offered by the capacitor F tends to infinite. So this become 0. So the is treated as a short circuit. Now there is a short circuit in between your junction. Amount of, so your base to interjunction will be shorter as well as your base to collector junction. So internal transition capacitance and the internal diffusion capacitance which is offered at the reduces your amplifier gain. So here a phase shift also we can experience a phase shift at the output of your CE amplifier. Now so internal capacitance at lower frequency. What about your lower frequencies? If I am applying lower input frequencies, so will they affected or not? So due to this junction capacitance, our frequency response curve is having any disturbances also on the. Do you have any effect on the frequency response? That we are going to learn now. So for a high frequency response, so here these two are acting like a short circuit. Since that the gain will fall at a higher end, whereas when I am applying a lower frequency, these internal capacitance offers a very high amount of reactance, hence these are acting like an open circuit, so there is no contact between those two terminals. So when we doesn't have any contact in between those two terminals, it doesn't affect your frequency response at lower end frequencies. So only lower end frequency, so the gain will fall at lower end frequency is due to the coupling capacitors, whereas at a higher end the gain is falling in a frequency response curve is due to your internal capacitance of the transistor. Now these internal capacitance of the transistor is due to the two junctions of the transistor, where those two junctions are your input and output junctions. Is it clear, everybody? Is my voice is breaking? All you are experiencing the same? Please respond, Anna. So the detailed explanation is here. Just observe the two images here. Now our internal capacitance here base to emitter junction CBE, base to collector junction CBC. We have it here. So now at high frequency end, so these reactants offered by the capacitors, reactance become zero. I mean it is very less. So then the drop across this become. So here the resistance offered by this two capacitors CBC and CBE is very less. So when the reactance CBE becomes small enough, a significant amount of your signal voltage is lost due to your voltage divider effect of the source resistance, and the reactance of the CBE is very less. Next, when the reactance of the CBC becomes small enough, a significant amount of output signal voltage is fed back output to the in phase with your input signal. So negative feedback is provided. Due to that, the gain is falling. So output to input. So some part of the output is coupling. Due to that, short circuit between your collector to base terminal, which is provided by the CBC. So we are losing some. We just lost some output of output voltage, which is fed back to the input. So our gain will be reduced. Right. So these coupling internal capacitance are in the range of 2 picofarads to 50 picofarads if it is at output junction, whereas if it is at input junction, so that the capacitance value is very less, so which is in the range of 0.1 picofarad to 5 picofarad. So where it is a BJT or your FET, the internal capacitance comes into the play of your high frequency analysis, and these reactances are low at a high frequency, and due to that the gain will fall at high frequency end. So next, transistor exhibit a charge which is stored a phenomena, so that limits the speed of the frequency of their operation. So mainly when I am going to utilize your transistor, so these due to this capacitance values and due to this charge storage capability, so the time for switching your from 0 to 1 or to the saturation to cutoff is dominated by this property of your storage. So it takes some time interval to switch from on state to the off state, as well as your cutoff state to the saturation state. Next, I just told that we have learned it now in the frequency response. We are taking your voltage gain directly, or we can convert your voltage gain into decibels. Now, while we are learning your common emitter configuration as well as your all the three configurations, input and output characteristics, we took your linear characteristics. So like your voltage on your x-axis and current on your y-axis. So we doesn't have any scale changes over there. But here, when I mentioned with your gain, so directly you can take your gain on your y-axis, or you could convert that gain into decibels. So now this decibels are taken as a measure of your gain, a power gain or a voltage gain. So now amplifiers mostly are represented, so mostly the voltage gain or the power gain are represented in terms of your decibels. So now it's a common unit measurement for your voltage gain or the power gain on a frequency response curve. So it can be obtained using your logarithmic scales. So we have to use the logarithmic scale here. It is a logarithmic measurement of the ratio of your output power to the input power or output voltage to the input voltage. Hence here, in order to convert your power gain into your decibels, so you have to take a 10 log of your total power gain must be substituted as AP. Next, so to have your on your y-axis the voltage gain in decibel, you have to take 20 log of AV. Why you are taking 20 log of AV is here, and why you are taking 10 log of here it is. Whereas here AP is I square into RL divided by, so IC square into RL output power, whereas input power is IV square into RI. So here the current is a square term, so hence that 2 will come here as when I am mentioning with the voltage gain, then voltage gain must be 20 log of AV. So here, so AV is the voltage gain is always greater than the 1 decibel, and gain must be in a positive direction. If the voltage gain is less than 1, then the decibel gain will lead your frequency response towards your negative axis. So that is called as the attenuation part of the signal. So the passband have been mentioned with a gain which is greater than 1, whereas the attenuation band which is marked as where the gain of the amplifier is less than 1. So the attenuation band which will be marked with the gain of less than 1, where the passband must be maintained with the gain of your greater than 1. Is it clear, everybody? And we are taking the 0 decibels as the reference gain, which to compare the other values of the gain. So in order to obtain that 0 decibel, our actual voltage gain must be equal to 1. So 20 log of 1 AV, if I substitute with the unity, so then we have a 0 decibels. So 0 decibels here is your reference axis. Now, so the frequency response above the voltage gain of 1 or your above 0 decibels will give the passband, and below that 0 decibels will give you the attenuation band, where you have the gain is in negative, going into towards your negative direction. Alright. Now, this is the way to plot your frequency response on your using your by converting into your decibels. So 0 decibels, now -3, -6, so -12 and -18. So x-axis, so I am taking the frequency, on the axis I am taking your AV. So where here, so if I am going on increasing my frequency, if my gain is 1, so if my gain is 1, so then I can have here 0 decibels. As I am taking the mid band, gain is here 0, and now this almost here we are getting here the gain which is in the negative range, -3, -6, -12, -18. So which is the attenuation band, which indicates the attenuation band. Next, now we have to calculate the critical frequencies. If it's a power gain, so critical frequency is also known as the cutoff frequencies or the corner frequencies. Now it is the frequency at which the output power drops by 3 decibels. So 3 decibels, which represents 1/2 of its mid-range values. So 10 log of half, so half of its power gain. hence it is 0.5, so which is equal to minus 3 dB. So we have to find your corner frequencies. So we have to subtract the 3 decibels from its mid-band gain. In the same manner, if I am mentioning with the voltage gain on your y-axis, so I have to subtract the 3 decibels from my mid-band gain. Then I have to draw a horizontal line which is parallel to the x-axis, like in the first slide. So let us mention that. So here, just to see here. Here we have a 3 decibel. So this is your mid-band gain or a maximum gain. So when I subtract the 3 decibels from my maximum gain, then I could have the 3 dB gain. So I have to draw a parallel line. I have to draw a line which is parallel to the x-axis. So now this parallel line which I have drawn, so can have a points on your characteristics. So 2 points, and draw the vertical lines on perpendicular to your x-axis. So if you draw that, then we would have your 2 frequencies. One will be FL, the other one will be a FH. So how to achieve this 3 decibels? If it is a power gain, just by half of its power gain will give you a 3 dB percent of maximum gain, 70% of maximum gain, or 1 by root 2 times of your maximum gain. If I am taking that 1 by root 2 times of your maximum gain will give you the 3 decibels. So we have to subtract 3 decibels from the maximum gain, then we could have the 2 corner frequencies, as one will be the FL and the other one will be your FH. So now the range of frequencies between FL and FH will give you the bandwidth. So bandwidth of amplifier is the range of frequencies where FH minus of FL. So it is calculated like, take the, so you have to take the difference between your FH and FL in order to find the range of that bandwidth, where that bandwidth defines, so it maintains a constant amount of gain for certain frequencies in between your 2 corner frequencies of SL and FH. So like this we calculate your bandwidth. So 20 log of 70.7% or 1 by root 2 times of your maximum gain will each your minus 3 decibels. Already we have mentioned lower frequency response of your CE amplifier. The fall in the gain is caused due to your coupling capacitor, which is placed at the input RC circuit and at the output RC, as well as your bypass RC circuit. So these 3 RC circuits are responsible in the fall of your gain in your frequency response. So these 3 RC circuits are responsible for fall in the gain in the frequency response of your CE amplifier. Next. So exactly at your 3 dB frequency or at 3 dB gain, reactance offered by the capacitors become equal to the input resistance. Where I am taking, you know, to explain why it is falling is, so I am connecting your input in series with a capacitor, and that is connected to the base and through the input resistance. So this is the effective base voltage which you are coupling to the base of your transistor. So now simply it is a RC circuit which is acting like a high pass RC network. Whereas in high pass RC network, the total amount of reactance depends on not only on RE, but that also depends on your capacitance reactance. Hence here the effective base voltage is calculated as, so V into Rin divided by, as the base voltage is equal to Rn divided by root of Rn square plus of XC1 whole square into of V. So whenever at 3 dB gain, so this Rn must be equivalent to the XC1. So reactance offered to the capacitor will become equal to that. So I said that your 3 dB gain is calculated by taking 1 by root 2 times of maximum gain. Why we are taking 1 by root 2 times of maximum gain is, since at that instant, so the reactance offered by the capacitance is equal to the Rn, and this reactance, this Rn will not change based on the input frequency, whereas the reactance offered by the capacitor is changing. It depends on the applied input frequency. So now at that instant of 3 dB frequency, 3 dB gain, 3 dB gain, our reactance offered by the capacitor is equal to the input resistance of the amplifier. Hence here, if I replace this XC1 with the input resistance, then we will have here, so here we have a 2 into Rn square, so root 2 of Rn, if it is get cancelled, then we have the base voltage which you are coupling, the base voltage which is coupled to the base of your transistor, not to amplify your signal. So base voltage, effective base voltage must be equal to 0.707. 1 by root 2 is equal to 0.707 times of your V. Now if I am calculate, if I am just taking the gain in decibels, so and then that is equal to 20 log of V out to V. So here we will get a V base which is equal to, if I replace with the effective base voltage which is equal to 0.707 times of V. So then here V cancel, then we have 20 log of 0.707 times, which is equal to minus 3 decibels. So high frequency response is limited by internal capacitance of the transistor. And so in order to analyze this, we have to use the Miller's theorem, since that capacitors are in between your base to input to output. So it is placed in between your input and output. So if you have a such type of case, so if you have a component in between your two terminals, input and output terminal, we can split that into two components. So this theorem simplifies, using your Miller's theorem, we can divide that into two components, and we can place at the input side as well as at the output side. So this theorem simplifies the analysis of your feedback amplifier at high frequencies, and this theorem states that an impedance, if I am connected between your input side and the output side with a voltage amplification, the impedance can be replaced by two equivalent impedance, and one connected across the input and the other is connected across the output terminal. So now, instead of having, in this case we are having a capacitance. So in that capacitance is this is your this triangle indicates a symbol for amplifier, electronic symbol for the amplifier. The triangle indicates the electronic symbol for the amplifier with a voltage gain AV. And now the capacitor is in between input to output. Let us see the output junction junction capacitance, transmission capacitance CBC is in between collector to the base. So then, so that capacitor reactance or capacitor can be split into two capacitor, one at the input, the other one at the output. So input side we have connected with C into AV plus 1, and the output side we have connected with C into AV plus 1 divided by A. So if I am having an impedance in between your input and output terminal, then first we have to take here input current is I1, where I1 is equal to V1 minus of V2 divided by Z, where output voltage V2 is equal to, or gain is equal to V2, or voltage gain is equal to AV is equal to ratio of output voltage to input voltage. So which is equal to V2 by V1. So now if I am taking this, so I am replacing V2 with minus A into V1, then we have here V1 into 1 plus A by Z. Hence here which is equal to I1, now it is equal to, so now V1 by I1 will give you the impedance which have to connect at the input terminal, which is equal to 1 plus A times of your Z. Next, at the output, so we can split this Z by taking V2 by I2 is equal to Z by 1 plus A. So Z by 1 plus A. So like this we have V1 by I1 is equal to Z by, so Zn1 is equal to Z by 1 plus A, whereas Zn2 is equal to Zn2. At the output the impedance is connected like Zn2 is equal to Z by 1 plus Z divided by 1 plus 1 by A. So in the same manner, so reactance, capacitor we have connected in between input and output. So Zn1 is equal to Z by 1 plus A, and your reactance is XCM1, which is equal to XC divided by 1 plus A, where XC is the reactance of the capacitor 1 by omega Cm1. So Cm1 is equal to C into 1 plus A. Omega C here, omega cancel, then Cm1 which is connected at the input is equal to C into 1 plus A, where A is the voltage gain. As your output, at the output Zn2 impedance if it is connected, it is equal to Z by 1 plus A. If I have a capacitor and that reactance of the capacitor is split into X as Xc into Xc divided by 1 plus 1 by A. I am just replacing Xc as 1 by omega Cm2, and here also 1 by omega C. Omega can, if I cancel on both sides, then I have here Cm2 is equal to C into 1 plus 1 by A. So like that we can split those two capacitors and we can analyze the high frequency analysis. So this is a summary of your frequency response. Now the coupling and the bypass capacitors of amplifier can affect your low frequency response, and the internal capacitance of transistor can affect your high frequency response. Each RC circuit causes a voltage gain drop of 20 decibels per decade. So for every decade you have a roll-off rate of 20 decibels in the fall in the gain. So the fall rate will be 20 decibels per decade. So next, for a low frequency RC circuit, the highest critical frequency is the dominant critical upper cutoff. We will mention it as a upper cutoff frequency, and the lowest cutoff frequency is mentioned as a lower cutoff frequency. So those two critical frequencies, FH is the upper cutoff frequency, FL is the lower cutoff frequency, or we can also mention as F2 or F1. And the bandwidth is the range of frequencies where we will have here a constant or mid-band gain or a constant amount of so the ranges of frequencies where the gain is maintained at a constant level. Now let us move to your next topic, which is your common collector configuration. As we already discussed about your common emitter amplifiers and common base amplifier, now we also have to take the conclusion of your common collector amplifier. So this is your circuit configuration of your common collector, where I applied your input voltage, AC signal input voltage through this coupling capacitor and through this potential divider network, and we apply the base to emitter junction forward bias and the base to collector junction reverse bias. So with this plus VCC, we are biasing your base to collector junction reverse, and with the plus VCC R1 R2 we are biasing your base to emitter junction forward bias with the same magnitude of VCC. This is the main advantage of your voltage divider, that is using your single source we are making your input junction forward as well as your output junction of the transistor reverse. So as to compensate your temperature effects and to bypass your any DC signals at the DC voltages, we are connecting your capacitor across this resistor in a common emitter configuration, whereas here it's a common collector configuration. So in a common collector configuration, your collector is a common terminal and your input terminal is the base. Your output must be taken at the emitter terminal. Hence, we have connected one coupling capacitor, is the output coupling capacitor C2, which is initial with a load resistor RL. We are collecting your output voltage. Now, so here in your common collector amplifier, so in many ways we can just the operation will be explained like your common emitter configuration. Only the thing is here, instead of connecting your RC in your common emitter, so in common collector we just directly connected your collector without any collector resistance. Whereas in common emitter we connected RC and we took that as a load resistor. But instead of in your common collector without RC or a resistance at collector, we are not connected any collector resistor, and we are taking the output at the emitter terminal. Now here the collector terminal is common to both input and output circuits. This type of configuration is known as your common collector, since your collector is taking effectively to the ground and through the power supply. Next, in many ways we can operation can be explained with your common emitter. Instead of that, just collector resistance is load resistor is changed from the collector terminal for RC to the emitter terminal, and your common collector grounded, your collector is grounded in common collector configuration. So where it is having the high input impedance, so common collector is mostly preferable for high input impedance, where it is also having the low output impedance. So high input impedance, input source needs to be connected at your low input impedance. So low resistances are offered by the signal sources. So and low output impedances is available at the output of your common collector amplifier, where the current gain is high in your common collector amplifier and the voltage gain is approximately equal to 1. Since why it is voltage gain is 1 is, so we are connecting the input at base terminal, and we are collecting your the output voltage at your emitter. So since that So the base voltage is approximately equal to, so now the input we are connecting at the base, which is approximately equal to the emitter, and here the voltage gain output to input become 1. Now this resistors R1 and R2 provide resistance. So the resistance can be easily calculated voltage to R1 and R2, where VB is equal to VCC into of R2 divided by R1 plus R2, and the amount of base voltage, so which base the DC voltage or the operating voltage which you are connecting is VCC into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So the collector resistance is 0, then voltage collector terminal. So if it doesn't have any drop across your collector terminal, then our emitter voltage approximately equal to the collector voltage. Where the emitter voltage is nothing but put current level bias using your input. So base current flows through your junction to the emitter, which encourages the transistor put into your linear region, causes the large amount of collector current which will flow through your collector terminal. Thus, the amount of emitter current is equal to the summation of your base and the collector current. So, if I neglect the base current, as your base to emitter voltage is 0.7 and the base region width is very less, so since that if I am taking approximately, I can take the emitter current is equal to the collector current. However, the base current is small, so IE is approximately equal to your IC. So next, one second. Up to this point, is it clear? Everybody? Is it clear, everybody? Yes, do you want to repeat to any point? Is it clear, everybody? Yes, please respond, Manu. Do you want me to repeat any point regarding CE frequency response or your collector, common collector amplifier? Now, if it is clear, then I'll ask you a question. What was the voltage gain of common collector amplifier? What was the voltage gain of common collector amplifier? Just now I stopped your screen sharing, right? Right. So now let me move to your continuation. Now this common collector amplifier is also called as emitter failover since it follows the emitter voltage. So the amplifier output signal is taken from your emitter terminal, and this type of configuration is also known as your emitter failover circuit. So we can call your common collector amplifier as emitter failover also, since your voltage across your collector is VC is approximately equal to your voltage across your emitter terminal. So output voltage, your circuit is following your emitter voltage, hence it is named as the common collector amplifier is named as a emitter follower circuit. Right. So now here the phase difference, since your base voltage is, so base to emitter, to base terminal you are connecting your input. So since that, so it is after the active region, or when it is operating under linear region, the base to emitter voltage is 0.7 ohms, and now so we are collecting the output at the emitter terminal. So hence the input voltage and your output voltage are in phase, which doesn't provide any phase difference. So you doesn't have any phase difference at the output of your common collector amplifier. So there is no phase difference between your input and output signals. So your emitter voltage is in phase with the applied signals at the base of your transistor. Next, it is also called as a voltage follower, since the gain of the amount of voltage gain is approximately equal to 1, the emitter voltage, so which is equal to the base voltage, hence it's a voltage follower circuit. However, so where you are using your common collector as a buffer amplifier, where it provides your a high input impedance and a low output impedance in order to avoid your eyes. So here in order to match your load impedances, so we are going to isolate between your input signal and source, input signal source from a load impedance low. So we could use this as a buffer amplifier. In order to avoid your loading effects, we have to connect this common collector configuration, since it provides your highest input impedance. Another usual feature of your common collector amplifier is that the current gain is very high. So hence you could use in order to have your large current amount of current flow through your output terminal. We could, for a small change in the input base current, we could prefer the common collector amplifiers. So the main advantage of your common collector amplifier provides your high resistance, as well as it also provides your high output collector currents with a small change in the base currents. Okay, so with this today's session I wanted to conclude. So the next class we are going to discuss about the single stage and multi-stage CE amplifiers. So any doubts today class? Please respond, Nana. And one more small point, we have to deal with that frequency response, gain and bandwidth product. So it can be a constant value. So now if I am taking a constant gain, so which is multiplied with the bandwidth, so the product of your gain and the bandwidth must be maintained with a constant value. For example, now if I am taking the gain with a value of 1 at a frequency of 6 megahertz, the gain bandwidth product must be 6 megahertz. For a given frequency of amplifier, the gain can be increased only at the expenses of its bandwidth. So the product must be always, the gain bandwidth product must be always constant. So now if I maintain 1 is constant, so in order to maintain that gain bandwidth product is constant, so we have to take that bandwidth must be bandwidth of this bandwidth of the amplifier stages must be increased or decreased to maintain your gain bandwidth product is constant. So now this gain and bandwidth product can give you the main characteristics of your amplifier, which can yield the how many frequencies it can allow, what is the maximum gain you could take from that amplifier. So it gives you that information about your amplifier stage. So as in your specification, they clearly mention what is your gain bandwidth product. With that, we could decide what are the operating ranges of your amplifier. So what is the low end frequency we can apply and what is the high end frequency. We could take it a constant gain within those two ranges of frequency with the maximum gain. Right now? So in the next class, we are going to learn about CE amplifier, single stage CE amplifier as well as your multi-stage or two-stage RC coupled amplifiers. So you can answer your quiz now. Let us start your quiz. Start the quiz. After answering, you can leave